What's up, guys? We're back with a full slate of action here on Wednesday, June 5th. It was kind of a wild Tuesday out there, guys. We had some big winners, had some big losers. We saw the Dodgers get shut out by the Pirates. Did not see that one coming. The Dodgers, man, they're a disaster right now. Royals plus 102, that got put in there after the Nationals removed Trevor Williams, moved him to the IL, so we substituted the Royals pick for that Nationals pick. That looked really good early on with the Royals taking a big lead, but eventually giving it up. Then we saw the Yankees minus 1.5. That came through easily. We had the Yankees minus 1.5 plus 130, so that felt great. Atlanta minus 152, that one came through as well. We also had Baltimore minus 1.5. That was at plus 105. That one came through additionally, so that was pretty much a no sweat situation. Good job from Baltimore. Unfortunately, we got some pretty bad luck there in the Mariners game, guys. We had the Mariners minus 1.5, and they ended up not being able to finish things off correctly in the ninth inning or even really down the stretch in that game, and we saw a wild pitch cost us a run there in the ninth inning. So devastating stuff. It's looking like they're going to probably win 4-3 when we needed them to win 4-2. So, oh well, we go 3-3 on the day. Not ideal, but definitely some solid value in there for sure. Guys, let's try and build some momentum heading into a big Wednesday slate. First, do me a big favor and hit that like button. It's a great way to show some support for the channel and all the work we put in here every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today and we will give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment, so let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be in the pinned comment down below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the Atlanta Braves taking on the Boston Red Sox. The Atlanta Braves come into this game fresh off of another win. They've now won 3 out of their last 4 overall. They won 8-3 there in game 1 in Fenway, so have to feel pretty good about that. They're handing the ball in this game to Spencer Schwellenbach. He is 0-1 on the season with a 5.40 ERA. He's only making his second start of the year, guys. His first start was back on the 29th against the Nationals, where he didn't have an amazing time, but it wasn't a disaster. He went 5 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs. So yeah, not terrible. He struck out 5, walked 1. He did give up a home run in that game, so that's not exactly ideal, but he didn't look terrible, and he's facing a kind of a similar definitely a better hitting team in this one. So we'll see what he's able to do out there in this game. I mean, the Braves have been one of the better teams in the MLB this season with a 34-24 record. I mean, definitely not the best, but they also have a very solid bullpen. They're 8th in bullpen ERA with a 3.50 bullpen ERA, so nothing wrong with that. This offense has been fine lately, I guess we'll say. They scored 8, 3, 9, and 4 runs over their last 4 games. That 9-run game was in that weird 11-9 game they had that lost to Oakland, so not great there. They're only 15th in the majors in runs scored. We do see them clearly missing Acuna for sure. There's no doubt about that. They're 7th in on-base percentage, 8th in team batting average. They're batting 250 as a team, so not a terrible offense by any stretch. I'm definitely expecting them to be able to put up some runs here, going up against the Red Sox, who come into this game losers of 2 in a row now. We see Abreu's going to the IL after slipping on the dugout steps, so that's a little bit embarrassing and a little bit annoying for this team that's only 30-31 on the season. They're handing the ball in this game to Nick Pivetta, who's 2-4 on the year with a 4.08 ERA. Coming off a pretty good start against the Tigers. He only went 5 1/3 innings deep into that one, but only gave up 2 earned runs on 3 hits. He did give up a home run in that game, but he also struck out 9 over only 5 1/3, so that's not terrible. A big bounce back performance from him after getting shelled by the Milwaukee Brewers, but we do see that the Red Sox have lost 3 out of his last 5 starts, so that's not great, and he hasn't really looked good against good hitting teams right now. And also back on the 8th of last month, guys, he went 4 innings, gave up 7 hits and 5 earned runs and 3 home runs to the Atlanta Braves. So that's a little bit concerning here in this specific matchup. And in terms of bullpen for the Red Sox, they've actually been a little bit better than you would expect given all the injuries this team has gone through. I mean, they are all the way down to 25th in bullpen ERA now, though, with a 4.37 ERA coming out of the pen. So that's not fantastic for them. And this offense hasn't been looking great lately, guys. They've scored 3, 4, 6, and 7 runs over their last 4. So last 2 games, not great. The 2 games before that, not bad. So kind of take their offense here with just, I'm not super high on the Red Sox offense, guys. I mean, they're 12th in the majors in runs scored, 14th in on-base percentage, 14th in on-base percentage, also 14th in batting average. They are a decent slugging percentage team, but there's nobody on their roster that I'm like super terrified of. If you see him coming to the plate, you're not like, oh god, now I have to pitch to this guy. Like that just doesn't really seem to happen that much for this team. So not a squad that I'm super scared of at the plate. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the odds odds makers have this one as basically a coin flip. We've got the Braves at minus 105, the Red Sox at minus 106. We see over-unders of 9 or 9.5 for this game. The question for me is, what can we really expect here from Schwellenbach? I mean, obviously, given this big over-under, the odds makers aren't very high on either starter. We see Atlanta's a decent road team at 14 and 12. Boston's a pretty bad home team at 13 and 17 in Fenway, so that's not great. We see both teams showing trends towards the under. Right now, guys, with the Red Sox bullpen not looking so hot and Pivetta having some bad history recently against the Braves, I'm siding with Atlanta minus 105 in this game. I don't think it's very likely to end up in the pin comment. I just don't have enough faith here in Schwellenbach, but we'll just have to wait and see. Give me Atlanta as a small lean in this one. Next up, guys, we've got another day game. We've got the St. Louis Cardinals going on the road here to take on the Houston Astros. The Cardinals took the 8-5 loss in Game 2 of this series, so getting off to an 0-2 start of the series cannot feel great. They're handing the ball in this one to Michaelis, who's 3-6 on the season with a 5.54 ERA. This dude was supposed to borderline be their ace this year. I mean, obviously, he's not supposed to be as good as Sonny Gray, but there was hope that he would have like a continued like positive trend in his like development and his career here, and that is just not what it has looked like. I mean, the dude's 35 years old. Seems like this is kind of what we're going to get from him this season. His last time out wasn't bad. I mean, he went 6 innings, gave up 5 hits and 3 earned runs to the Phillies. That's a pretty solid outing against one of the best hitting teams in baseball, but we do see the Cardinals are only 3-2 over his last 5 starts, and some of those starts, it wasn't exactly his fault. I mean, 6 innings, 3 earned runs against the Cubs. The Cubs aren't a great offensive team right now. Against the Brewers, he went 6 innings, he gave 6 hits and 3 earned runs in that one. That's a very good start against a good hitting Brewers team, so we'll give him some credit. He's definitely been pitching better here lately. In terms of their bullpen, the Cardinals are a bit below average with a bullpen ERA of 4.14, so that's not ideal for them, and this team has been pretty challenged offensively all season long. I mean, they're still sitting at 28th in the majors in runs scored, 22nd in the majors in batting average, batting only .233 as a team. They are 20th, I guess, in on-base percentage if you're seeking for like some positives here, but we haven't seen Arenado or Goldschmidt's really get, they're not leading the way for this team like you would expect them to do at the plate. I mean, Newbar has been terrible at the plate, but now he's on the IL, so that doesn't really sway me one way or the other. Him missing some time, maybe he can get his head on straight and, start swinging the bat a little bit better. We'll just have to see, though. Not a lot of faith in the Cardinals offense, and they're taking on an Astros team who's been hitting the cover off the ball in this series so far. They scored 7 runs in Game 1, 8 runs in Game 2. We saw Diaz hit a 3-run home run in the Game 2, so in general, guys, things are looking up for the Astros. They're 28-34 in the season after getting off to that horrendous start, so I'm sure they're happy to be kind of pointed in the right direction. They're 6.5 games back in the AL West, so probably not pumped about that. Handing the ball in this one to Ronel Blanco, who's been great this season. He's 5-1 with a 2.44 ERA. He's coming off a pretty terrible start for him, though, honestly. I mean, against the Twins his last time out, gave up 4 earned runs on 3 hits over 4 2/3 innings. He walked 3 in that start, so that's not great. Other than that, he's looked very good. I mean, he had a decent start against the Yankees back in the 9th. He had 2 very good starts. One start against the A's wasn't exactly what we had in mind. He only went 3 innings in that game, but the second start against him, he went 7 innings, gave up only a single run and 4 hits. So Blanco, he's been very, very good this year, no doubt about it. In terms of their bullpen ERA, guys, Houston has been kind of what you would have expected them to be. I mean, not amazing, but not bottom of the barrel. They're 21st in the majors, so bottom third with a 4.27 bullpen ERA. So not great, not awful. Their offense is coming alive lately, and it's about time. I mean, this team has been one of the best batting average and on-base percentage teams in the majors. Their run production was just lagging behind. I mean, they're a top 5 slugging percentage team. Like, there's really no reason this squad shouldn't be putting up a lot of runs, and they are right now swinging some pretty hot bats, so I'm sure they feel good about that. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see that the odds makers also feel good about Houston in this game. They've got the Astros at minus 166, the Cardinals at plus 150. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. In general, guys, I lean towards the over a little bit in this one, but more than that, I'm leaning towards the Astros minus 166. I know it would be their 3rd straight win against the Cardinals, but guys, I have zero faith in Michaelis really this season. I've got a good amount of faith in Blanco, and I have no faith here in the Cardinals offense, so yeah, give me the Astros as a small lead in this one. Will this end up in the pin comment? It's a little expensive for me, so we'll just have to wait and see. I definitely don't like the Astros enough to take them against the run line in this game, so it would have to be a money line bet, and at 166, maybe we'll have better options out there on the board. Moving right along here, guys, we got the Cincinnati Reds going on the road to take on the Colorado Rockies. The Reds come into this game fresh off of a 3rd straight win. They won Game 2 of this series 4-1, so that had to feel pretty nice. They're 28-33 on the season, so definitely trending in a positive direction, but also definitely still in last place in the NL Central. Handing the ball in this game to Graham Ashcraft, who's 4-3 on the season with a 4.76 ERA. He's coming off a mediocre start against the Cubs. I mean, he gave it 3 earned runs over 4 2/3 innings on 5 hits, and he gave up a home run. It's kind of back-to-back mediocre starts, and he hasn't been having a fantastic time. I mean, two of his last 5 starts were against the Dodgers. 2 of them were against the Diamondbacks, and this last one against the Cubs. He's looked decent. He's given up basically 3 earned runs in every single start, so give him some credit there, I suppose, but they're going to need a little bit better from him probably to consistently be racking up wins, it feels like to me. And in general, guys, the Reds bullpen hasn't been terrible. I mean, especially for a team that plays half their games in a tiny ballpark, they've got a 3.88 bullpen ERA, which isn't awful. The real story for them right now is their offense coming alive. I mean, they scored 13 runs in Game 1 of this series, 4 runs in Game 2, so that all has to feel pretty nice. We did see Frankie Montas have a great outing there, so that has to feel good for them too. But in general, I'm not super high on this offense. I mean, they've been pretty mediocre also. They got off to a hot start, then had a terrible slump. They're still only 27th in the majors in batting average and 24th in slugging percentage, but they're swinging the bats relatively well right now, taking on a Rockies team that has now lost 4 in a row. They're not having a great time. They're 21-39 on the season. Handing the ball in this game to Dakota Hudson, who's 2-7 on the year with a 5.02 ERA. He is coming off of almost certainly his best start of the season, guys. He went 7 innings, gave only a single earned run on 4 hits to the LA Dodgers in a game we saw the Rockies win 4-1, so that has to feel great. We have seen the Rockies only win 2 out of his last 5 starts, which, I mean, for the Rockies, I guess it's not a disaster. And this dude's last 3 starts have been excellent. I mean, a great start against the hard-hitting Dodgers, or, sometimes hard-hitting Dodgers. A great start against the Phillies, one of the best offensive teams in baseball, and then a very serviceable start before that against the Giants. So he's been throwing the ball really well lately. No way around to that. And the Rockies bullpen in general, guys, hasn't been terrible considering where they have to do a lot of their pitching, but a 4.47 bullpen ERA is not amazing, guys. Not something we're super stoked on. Once Hudson's out of there, a lot of questions on whether or not the bullpen will be able to slow things down, although it is the Cincinnati Reds offense, which has been prone to being slowed down by everyone. The Rockies offense has been their biggest problem here lately. They've scored 1, 3, 0, 1, and 4 runs over their last 5 games. That is not going to get the job done. This team keeps their spot in 10th in the majors in batting average, but other than that, not a ton of positives. Definitely a below average offense. I mean, we do see Diaz is close to batting 300 on the season, but really, we don't have a ton of guys on this roster that we're scared of, and they do have the advantage of getting to play at Coors Field a lot, so that certainly helps, but overall, not too scared of this offense. Looking at the numbers of this game, guys, we see the Reds at -125, the Rockies at +116. We got an over-under in this one of 11.5. 11.5 seems like a little much to me, I'm gonna be honest, even at Coors Field, so give me a look at the under in this game. We don't see either team showing significant trends either way on the over-under, so I think under seems definitely playable. I also don't hate the Rockies +116 in this spot. I mean, it's a pretty good price, and Hudson's been throwing the ball extremely well lately, and Ashcraft hasn't looked bad either. So really, guys, the more I'm looking at it, the more I think about it, the under in this game seems more and more playable. So definitely going to be taking a look at the under and leaning towards the Rockies +116. Next up, guys, we're looking at the San Francisco Giants going on the road here to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Giants come into this game, well, they're actually currently playing right now. They're in the top of the 7th inning. We've got the Diamondbacks winning 4-2 right now, so they've got to be feeling pretty decent about that, and it's looking like this losing streak for the Giants is going to continue. This would be their 6th straight loss if they lose this one, so not having a great time, but they've got to be pumped to hand the ball to Jordan Hicks, who's definitely been their best start of the series, 4-2 overall with a 2.70 ERA. He's coming off a bad start, guys, against the Yankees. Did not have a good time against them at all. He hasn't been going super deep into games either. I mean, 5 1/3, which is what he went against the Yankees, is the deepest he's gone over any of his last 5 starts. It seems like he's constantly pitching out of trouble, and he's putting a lot of pressure on that Giants bullpen, which the Giants bullpen in general has been pretty terrible, so you don't want to see them out there a lot. They've got a 4.65 bullpen ERA, so not getting the job done at all, and really neither is this offense. I mean, they had a hot string of games there for a while, but over the last few, they are not having a good time, and over the course of the season, they're about league average. I mean, they are 20th in the majors in slugging percentage, so that's not great, but 14th in runs scored, 13th in on-base percentage, just not swinging the hottest bats right now, and in general, the Giants are really not having the season I think they envisioned. They're taking on the Diamondbacks in this one, who obviously are looking pretty good to win this game, and that would put them on a 4-game winning streak. They're 28-32 on the season, maybe 29-32 on the season. Handing the ball in this one to Jordan Montgomery, who's 3-3 on the year with a 5.48 ERA, coming off of getting just absolutely shelled by, of all teams, the New York Mets, guys. He gave up 9 hits, 8 runs, 6 of them were earned. He walked 3 in that outing. He's had control issues all season long, guys. He's walked 3, 1, 2, 3, and 2 hitters over his last 5 games. And man, 2 of those games were against the Reds. One was against the Tigers, not an offensive powerhouse. The other one was against the Miami Marlins, and also not an offensive powerhouse. He gave up 9 hits to the Marlins, but somehow escaped with only 2 runs. Like, this guy has been due to get got, and he certainly got there by the Mets. So not super high on him at all. I mean, yeah, not a guy that I'm excited about. Also not excited about the Diamondbacks. Bullpen, guys, is not great. A 4.30 bullpen ERA is not exactly what you have in mind. Their bats are heating up a little bit. I mean, they've scored 4 in this one. They scored 4 last night. 5, 10, and 9. So, like, swinging some pretty hot bats right now overall. They're 8th in the majors in runs scored, 9th in the majors in on-base percentage. So, this is starting to look like that possible top 10 offense in the majors. So, we'll see how that actually pans out. But looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we have the Giants at plus 114, the Diamondbacks sitting at minus 130, and we've got an over-under in this game of 8.5. Guys, in general, in this one, I'm looking towards the Diamondbacks again. I mean, not that we have a ton of faith in Montgomery, but that Giants losing streak doesn't seem like it's about to get snapped. Jordan Hicks can't go deep enough into the game to really affect the outcome of like a ton. And when we see the Giants bullpen out there, guys, every hitter's eyes have to just light up. So definitely looking at the Diamondbacks minus 130. In terms of an over-under in this game, I don't really have a huge lean. I mean, we've got 2 fairly mediocre pitching staffs, but we also have 2 teams that are kind of bad in terms of like offensive production right now. So in general, guys, I like the Diamondbacks minus 130, but other than that, it's probably a stay away spot for me. Moving right along here, guys, we got the New York Mets going on the road to take on the Washington Nationals. The Mets come into this game fresh off of a Game 2 win. They're now 2-0 in this series, so looking for their 3rd straight win. They're 26-35 on the year, so obviously not great there, but they're handing the ball in this one to Luis Severino, who's 3-2 on the season with a 3.52 ERA, and he had been absolutely cruising along before getting knocked around his last time out, and that last time out was by the Diamondbacks. I mean, he gave up 6 hits, 4 earned runs, 5 runs overall, so that's not great, but in general, this season, he's been pretty solid. I'm not going to say he's been like elite necessarily, but I will go ahead and give him solid. I mean, not a guy that I'm looking at as like a bona fide, like real ace, but not terrible. The Mets bullpen, on the other hand, has not been great. A 4.26 bullpen ERA has them around 20th in the majors, so that's not ideal. And while they've been hitting the ball well over their last couple of games, this has not been a great offensive team either. I mean, hovering around just below league average isn't exactly what you want. I mean, they're 15th in the majors in runs scored. They're 16th in the majors, batting only .238 as a team. That is not great. Not the kind of numbers that are going to get me excited. They're taking on a Nationals team that's having a hard time right now, though. They've lost 4 of their last 5. They're 27-33 in the season. Handing the ball here to Patrick Corbin, hoping he can stop the bleeding, but the dude's only 1-6 this year with a 5.83 ERA. He is coming off of a good start there against the Cleveland Guardians, where he went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits, but only 2 earned runs. So that's some positives there. I mean, I'm not exactly freaking out about that. We also see that the Nationals are 0-4 over his last 4 starts, so not exactly super high here on Patrick Corbin. Not super high in the Nationals bullpen either. I mean, they're 17th in the majors with a 3.94 bullpen ERA. Like, not quite as bad as you would expect to see, but not great. This offense in general is sputtering right now. They did score 7 runs in Game 1 of the series and lost the game. So that has to feel pretty bad for an offense that hasn't been great this year, guys. They're 23rd in runs scored, but they're all the way down to 27th in slugging percentage. They're only batting .232 as a team, so that's obviously not a very exciting number, and just nobody on this squad that I'm super scared of at the plate. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Mets at minus 140, the Nationals at plus 128. We've got over-unders of 9 and 9.5. I think those numbers are big indictments of Patrick Corbin being out there on the mound and kind of these bullpens also. I mean, if you're taking the over in this one, don't give up on it until the very last inning, because these bullpens can give up some runs. And yeah, guys, in general, this isn't one that I'm super stoked about. I mean, we do see the Mets playing well, and they're at minus 140. That seems a bit expensive to me for the New York Mets, to be honest. The Nationals plus 128. I don't know about that one. I mean, the odds of them salvaging a game here don't seem terrible, but I don't like Patrick Corbin on the mound. I don't have really a lot of faith in the over-under on this one either way. So I guess in general, guys, give me the Mets minus 140 as a slight lean, but overall, this is not a game I'm very excited about in any way. Not excited about watching it, not excited about betting it. This is just going to be kind of a pass from me. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Kansas City Royals going on the road to take on the Cleveland Guardians. We saw the Royals not come through for us yesterday in pretty annoying fashion. They took a big lead early and then blew it, ended up losing that game 8-5. So they're 0-1 to start off this series, handing the ball in this game to Brady Singer, who's 4-2 on the year with a 2.63 ERA, coming off of a very good start there against the Rays. That was on the road against the Rays. He went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits, only a single earned run, 2 runs overall. He walked 2 and struck out 3. Kind of a down outing for him, honestly, after going nuts against the Oakland A's. but that was a bounce back there from a bad start against the Mariners. He looked good against the Brewers early last month. So in general, guys, Singer has obviously looked very good, and the Royals just in general have looked pretty good over the course of the year. But I don't know, it's been weird lately. Like, things have been a little bit off for the Royals over their last few games, as I'm sure you guys have noticed. Their bullpen is kind of holding it together. I mean, they're 9th in the majors with a 3.60 bullpen ERA, so nothing wrong with that. This offense has hit a little bit of a speed bump here. I mean, they've scored 5, 4, 3, 8, and 6 runs over their last few games, so definitely putting up some runs. But over that span, guys, they're only 1-4, so that's a little bit surprising. You'd think the Royals, if they're scoring that many runs, they'd be winning some games, but yeah, just not having a great time. They did just have to send Waka to the IL with his broken foot. That's pretty wild stuff there. I mean, the offense is looking good still. I mean, they're 5th in the majors in runs scored, 7th in the majors, batting .252 as a team. Like, that is great. If you'd have told any Royals fan their team was going to be a top 10 offense here, what are we, like 60 games in? Yeah, like 62 games in. I think they would have been pumped to hear that information. So in general, guys, feel decent about the Royals heading into game 2 of this one against the Guardians, who are now 40-20 on the season, and handing the ball in this game to Nick Sandlin. He is looking for his first official start result of the season. I mean, he has one save this year, but he's been pitching out of the bullpen over his first 4 outings. He's looked pretty darn good. I mean, he did have one little blip there against the Rockies where he gave up 2 earned runs in only a third of an inning, but his last time out was clean against Washington. The question for me is just how deep can he go into this game? And even if he can't go super deep into this game, it seems like the Guardians should be okay. I mean, their bullpen is 7th in the majors with a 3.50 bullpen ERA, so nothing to worry about there necessarily. This offense has been pretty good lately. I mean, they've scored 8, 2, 3, and 7 runs over the last 4, so that's not bad. They've also won 3 of their last 4, so that makes those numbers look even better. Getting healthy here is definitely helpful for this team. We see Jose Ramirez hitting the ball well. They're 4th in the majors in runs scored, 15th in the majors in batting average, but they're 8th in on-base percentage and 11th in slugging. I mean, an on-base percentage of .315 is nothing to turn your nose up at, but it's also not exactly going to get me super fired up for you. But regardless, looking at the Guardians as a pretty solid team in this spot, the questions for me in this game is their pitching. We see the Royals at +105, the Guardians at -120. We've got an over-under of 8.5 in this game. We see the Royals, man, not a good road team, and I think the odds makers are definitely taking that into account in this one. The Royals are only 14-16 on the road. Cleveland is the best team at home in the MLB this year, guys. They're 21-7 at home this year, so definitely have to take a look here at the Guardians, even though they're cobbling things together with their bullpen. I mean, in general, this game feels like a really weird spot to me. I mean, I definitely want to take the Royals +105 in this game. It feels like they let one get away yesterday. I think they're going to be a little bit upset about that. I mean, Singer has been very, very good out there, even against some good hitting teams, so maybe going up against the Guardians isn't as big of a concern for him. This is a tough game. This is a really tough spot, guys. I honestly don't know which way to go. If you're forcing me to bet this one, I guess I lean towards the Royals +105, given that the Guardians are having to start a bullpen guy out there. But yeah, not a huge lean in this game. The Royals haven't looked great lately. Obviously, they are a team that I expect to get back on track, but man, betting against the Guardians at home does not feel good. Next on the docket, guys, we've got one of my least favorite teams in baseball, the LA Dodgers, taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. The Dodgers let us down yesterday. They've been the weirdest team ever. They got shut out by the Pirates. They lost that game 1-0. Like, my God, pretty embarrassing stuff. The Dodgers are 38-24 in the year, handing the ball in this game to James Paxton, who's 5-0 this season with a 3.29 ERA. He's coming off of a very short start against the Mets, where he went 3 innings, gave up 2 hits. I can't remember what happened. It must have been a weather shortened something or other, but he was definitely looking good out there, which is kind of a departure. He had 2 pretty rocky starts there against the Cincinnati Reds, which is weird. Not a team you would expect to have bad starts against. But yeah, in general, this year, Paxton has not looked bad, and the Dodgers bullpen in general has been very good. I mean, they're a top 5 bullpen with a 3.23 bullpen ERA, so nothing wrong with that. Just where has this offense gone? Where does this offense go on these days where they're just so terrible? Like, I just don't understand it. They're loaded. They should be scoring runs every single day, it feels like, but that has just not been the case. They're still 5th in the majors in runs scored, 4th in the majors in batting average, but man, over the last few games, they scored 0, 4, 4, and 1 runs. And that's in a series against the Colorado Rockies and against the Pirates. Like, I don't know. Don't understand it. If anybody can figure out where this offense has gone, please let me know. They're going to need to score some runs. I don't think zero is going to work going up against the Pirates in this game, who are 28-32 on the season. Probably pretty pumped to start things off here with a win. And they've got to be very excited to hand the ball in this one to Paul Skeens, who's 2-0 on the year with a 2.45 ERA. He's coming off a very good start there against the Tigers, where he got tons of run support. He went 6 innings, gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs. He did give up a home run in that game, but he struck out 9 and walked 1. And yeah, it's a game we saw the Pirates win 10-2, and the Pirates are actually 3-1 over his first 4 starts this year. So that's all going to feel very, very positive. He's looked dominant ever since he really took the mound. I mean, he had some weird stuff in that first start against the Cubs, but other than that, bro has looked amazing out there, and in general, he kind of needs to be looking amazing. I mean, the Pirates bullpen is not a fantastic one, but also not terrible. I mean, they're slightly above average in terms of bullpen ERA and stuff like that, so not a disaster when the bullpen has to take over, but in general, guys, this offense has not been great. Obviously, they only scored 1 run in game 1 of this series. Over the last few games, guys, they've scored 1, 4, 8, and 3 runs respectively. So, I mean, that 8-run outburst there is nice, but this is not a offense that you can really trust. They're 22nd in the majors in runs scored for a reason, and it's not because they're amazing up there. 26th in slugging percentage, 25th, batting only .229 as a squad. Like, none of these numbers really getting me going. So, not super high on this offense. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Dodgers at +100, the Pirates at -112. We see over-unders out there of both 8 and 8.5. We see the Dodgers are now officially an under team, which is wild given how good their offense is. They are 32, 29, and 1 to the under. We see the Pirates are actually an over team now. They're 30, 26, and 4 to the over. But in general in this game, guys, I'm looking towards the under. I expect Skeens to continue to be dominant. I don't think he's going to be intimidated by the Dodgers like murderer's row of hitters. And those hitters seem like they're blind or not paying attention or just taking this regular season off, thinking they'll just cruise to the playoffs, which I'm sure they will, but like, my God, you'd think they could hit the ball a little bit. But regardless, guys, in this one, I'm looking at under 8.5. Do I like this enough to put it in the pinned comment? Kind of tend to doubt it, but we'll just have to wait and see. If you wanted to take the Pirates at home, I guess that can make some sense too, but overall, this isn't a game that I really love the side on. I'm more looking at that under 8.5. Moving right along here, guys, we got the Tampa Bay Rays going on the road to take on the Miami Marlins. The Rays got the 9-5 win there in game 1 of this series, so they've got to be happy about that. They're 30-31 on the year, which probably isn't exactly where they were hoping to be, but not too bad. They're handing the ball in this game to Zach Eflin. He comes into this one off of a bullpen session a couple days ago. Apparently, he looked good enough that they're going to go ahead and run him out there for this game, but keep an eye on that. Obviously, weird things can happen leading up to a start. He's 3-4 on the year with a 4.12 ERA. The last time we saw him on the mound was back on the 18th at Toronto, where he went 6 innings, gave up 4 earned runs on 9 hits. Obviously, he probably wasn't 100% right for that game, so maybe didn't have his like A+ stuff, but before that, he was looking pretty good. I mean, he had a decent start against Boston, a good start against the White Sox, a very decent start there against the Milwaukee Brewers. So in general, he's been looking pretty decent out there, and the Rays bullpen has been fantastic. They're the second best bullpen ERA in the majors with a 2.92 ERA, so absolutely nothing wrong with that. We can definitely feel like we can trust their bullpen a lot, and this offense may be coming alive a little bit here, guys. I mean, 9, 4, and 5 runs over their last 3. This has been a below average offense all year, though, so we're not really expecting miracles from them. They're 24th in the majors in runs scored, 28th in the majors in slugging percentage. They're 19th in the majors in on-base percentage, getting on base at a 308 clip. Like, this is not an offense that I'm particularly afraid of if I'm an opponent, so got to take that into consideration for sure here, going up against the Marlins, who have now lost 3 in a row. They did break that shutout streak. They'd gotten shut out 2 games in a row, and then they scored 9 in this loss to the Rays, but obviously scoring 5 runs in a loss probably doesn't really take too much of the sting out of it. They're handing the ball in this game to Braxton Garrett, who somehow is 2-0 on the year with a 4.56 ERA. He's coming off of a very good start against the San Diego Padres, where he went 5 innings, gave only a single earned run on 6 hits. We weirdly enough see that the Marlins are 4-0 over his 4 starts this year, and I mean, the first 2 definitely weren't his fault, guys. I mean, both of those were extra inning wins for the Marlins, so some luck there, but then he had a complete game shutout against the Diamondbacks, where he went 9 innings, gave up 4 hits, no runs. Like, so crazy stuff. Braxton Garrett definitely capable of big things. I mean, he's a pretty young guy still, so definitely room to improve here, and we'll see what we get from him out there on the mound in this game. The Marlins bullpen has also been surprisingly good this year, guys. A 3.12 bullpen ERA is very nice. The Marlins bats have been their biggest problem recently. I mean, getting shut out 2 games in a row, then scoring 5 runs in a 9-5 loss. Obviously not great. They're 29th in the majors, getting on base at a 290 clip. They are 29th in the majors with 219 runs scored. Like, this is not a very good offensive team, and how good are they going to look against Eflin if he's actually healthy? I've got a lot of questions about that. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the odds makers also have a lot of questions about both of these offenses because they've got an over-under in this game of 7.5, so not great. The Rays are -120. The Marlins are +115. We see Tampa Bay is not an amazing road team. I mean, they're 13-13 on the road, so a 500 road team, but the Marlins are 11-22 at home, which is terrible. Guys, we're going to be siding with the Tampa Bay Rays -120 in this game. I think we're going to see good stuff from Eflin back there on the mound coming off the IL. I do think Braxton Garrett will look good while he's out there, and I have a little bit of concerns in this game with the Tampa Bay bats. I mean, honestly, the under 7.5 looks semi-playable to me, but overall, I'm leaning towards the Rays -120 with some sort of chance to end up in the pinned comment. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Minnesota Twins going on the road here to take on the New York Yankees. We saw the Yankees come through for us with a comfortable win there in Game 1, so we'll take the win and cover in that one for sure. The Twins come into this game fresh off of that loss. They're 33-27 on the season. Handing the ball in this one to Chris Paddock, who's 4-2 on the year with a 4.57 ERA. Coming off of not the hottest start there against the Royals. I mean, he went 5 2/3, gave up 4 earned runs and 2 home runs. He's given up at least 1 home run in each of his last 5 starts, which is not a great look when you're about to go up against the New York Yankees, guys. He also faced the Yankees back on the 14th and got absolutely obliterated. He gave up 12 hits, 5 earned runs, a home run over 5 innings of work in a game that we saw the Twins lose 5-1. So yeah, not looking super hot there with Paddock out on the mound. And yeah, I mean, if he gets knocked out of that game early, you're handing it to the Twins bullpen that's 18th in the majors with a 4.11 ERA. So not exactly a bullpen that we're super pumped about. And the offense isn't looking amazing right now either, guys. They scored 1, 4, 2, and 6 runs over their last 4 games. So not amazing, not terrible. This team is a slightly above average offense in general, although it's kind of surprising to me that they're above average in runs scored, only batting .231 as a team and only getting on base at a .304 clip. Like, they also don't have any like big time hitters that I'm super scared of, so they're gonna need to figure something out here going up against the Yankees, who are killing it right now. They're on a 6-game winning streak, just cruising along through Game 1 of this series. They're handing the ball in this one to Carlos Rodon, who's been great all year long. He's 7-2 with a 3.09 ERA. He had a great start against the Twins back on the 14th of last month, where he went 6 innings, gave up 6 hits and a single earned run. Nothing wrong with that. His last time out, he didn't look incredible against the Angels, but I mean, only 3 earned runs over 6 innings. That's not bad. That'll work. That will definitely play. So the Yankees bullpen, doesn't matter if their starters go deep or not, they are absolutely fine out there. They've got the best bullpen in the majors with a 2.75 bullpen ERA. So very high on that. Also very high on the Yankees offense for all the obvious reasons, guys. This is an absolute murderer's row out there. We see Soto killing it. We see Aaron Judge killing it. Juan Carlos Stanton hit a 2-run home run in their last game. So yeah, things just looking great. This team just seems to get better as the season goes on. 3rd in the majors in runs scored, 1st in the majors in on-base percentage. They're slugging the ball at a .440 clip. This is an amazingly elite offensive team. Looking like a complete team, guys. The Yankees are amazing. The fact if you take them -1.5, you can get them at +110. Pretty laughable to me, guys. We are going to be on the Yankees -1.5 once again in this game. Going to go ahead and ride with them here. I mean, I think Paddock is going to have a hard time against the Yankees. I think Rodon will not struggle at all against the Twins. So give me the Yankees -1.5 in this game. You can get it at a very good price, and I think it is great value. Moving right along here, guys, we got the Baltimore Orioles going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The Orioles come into this game fresh off of a 10-1 win in Game 2. They've been dominant so far in this series, winning Game 1 7-2, then Game 2 10-1. So cruising along, 39-20 on the season, handing the ball in this game to Albert Suarez, who's 2-0 on the year with a 1.57 ERA. He's looked great since coming out of the bullpen, guys. I mean, he was looking very good in the bullpen, too. His first start back on the 25th against the White Sox, gave up no runs on 2 hits over 4 innings against the White Sox. Then against Tampa Bay Rays, he went 5 innings, gave up 4 hits and 1 earned run. He's just looking very good out there. A little bit of control issues. He's had 2 walks in each of these first 2 starts, so that's something to keep an eye on. But in general, guys, he's looked very good out there in his starting role. No complaints from me in that, and no complaints about the Baltimore Orioles bullpen either. They've looked very good. A 3.32 bullpen ERA is great, so almost a top 5 bullpen. Definitely a big positive for this team, but not as big of a positive as their offense has been, guys. They've scored 10, 7, 3, and 9 runs over their last 4 games. Absolutely just killing it right now. We see Gunnar Henderson killing it. This is just a murderer's row. It's not quite a Yankees level murderer's row, but man, this team has a lot of really exciting young guys that can absolutely hit the cover off the ball. They're 1st in the majors in slugging percentage, 9th in batting average, batting almost .250 as a team. Like, this is just a crazy good offense. Hoping they can keep things rolling here against the Blue Jays. Obviously, Blue Jays not having a great time right now, guys. They've lost 3 out of their last 4. They've fallen to 28-32 on the year. Handing the ball in this game to Jose Barrios, he's looked pretty good this year in general. I mean, he's 5-4 with a 2.78 ERA. He had a good start against the Orioles back on the 13th, where he went 7 innings, gave up 3 hits, 2 earned runs. He did give up 2 home runs in that game, though, so that's a pretty big concern. I mean, if you're getting dinged up for home runs against the Orioles, that's not great. That game was at Baltimore, but I mean, even if you're pitching at Camden Yards and now you're pitching in Toronto, like, I don't know, man. I've got some question marks. He did look really good his last time out against the Pirates. I mean, 7 innings, 6 hits, 1 run. But, man, facing the Orioles does not seem like a good time, especially for a guy that gave up 2 home runs against them the last time he faced them. And overall, guys, the Toronto bullpen isn't necessarily one that I'm super high on. I mean, they're 24th in the majors. They have 4.32 bullpen ERA, and this offense is absolutely spluttering, guys. I mean, 1 run, then 2 runs, 3 runs over the course of the last 18 innings. Only 5, 1. Like, there's not hitting the ball well, guys. I mean, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is almost batting 300. That's great. Other than that, not a ton of positives for this offense. I mean, they're 12th in on-base percentage, so that number stays fairly consistently decent. But regardless of that, like, run scored, not good. Batting average, not good. Like, 234 batting average as a team, not something I'm going to get excited about. So looking at the numbers for this game, guys, we see the Orioles are somehow at plus 120. The Blue Jays are at minus 132, and we've got an over-under in this game of 8.5. Baltimore's a very reasonable road team. They're 17-8 on the road, and Suarez has been looking great. Go ahead and give me the Orioles plus 120. I think there's a decent chance it could be a low-scoring game, so if you wanted to take under 8.5, that can make some sense to me too. But guys, I'm just siding with the Orioles, and the fact that I'm getting plus 120 makes this even sweeter for me. I'm not too scared of Barrios out there on the mound. Cruising into the home stretch here, guys, we've got the Chicago White Sox taking on the Chicago Cubs here. And in game 2 here of the battle for Chicago, we saw the White Sox have their chances there in game 1, but eventually lose 7-6 to run their losing streak to 12 games in a row. That cannot feel great. They're 15-46 on the year, handing the ball in this one to Eric Feedy, who's 4-1 on the season with a 3.12 ERA. They're kind of wasting a great season from him. His last start wasn't amazing, though. I mean, he went 5 innings, gave 9 hits and 4 earned runs to the Milwaukee Brewers. He was pitching in Milwaukee, and that is a very tough assignment. He's looked good over his last 5. I mean, he had a little bit of a tough time against Toronto, but he's had some like shutout performances in there for sure. I mean, he's had 3 outings where he didn't allow a run out of his last 5. So the dude has been looking very, very good. He's doing everything he possibly can for this terrible, terrible team. I mean, the White Sox bullpen also like not great as you would imagine. They're actually dead last in the majors with a 4.73 bullpen ERA. So once the starters are out of there, kind of all bets are off. And yeah, not a lot of positive things to say about the White Sox. They've got the worst offense in the major leagues. Shocker of the year. Not going to spend a bunch of time talking about that. Their offense, absolutely dead last. Absolutely terrible. They're going to have to try and do something here against the Cubs. They, scored 6 runs, which is an amazing offensive day for them, but they ended up losing that game 7-6. Bullpen not looking great. The Cubs come into this game 30-31, handing the ball to Jameson Taillon. He's 3-2 on the year with a 2.84 ERA coming off of a decent, maybe not elite, but I'll definitely give him decent starting there against the Brewers. He's given up 3 earned runs in each of his last 3 starts, spanning starts at Milwaukee, at St. Louis, and then at home against the Pirates. So the dude's had decent stuff, don't get me wrong. He's had like kind of a tough assignment there. I mean, you gave up 9 hits to the Cardinals. That's not great, but he gets to take on the White Sox, and that has to be a huge relief for any starting pitcher. The Cubs bullpen has been about league average right now, so that's not, nothing insane, but that's definitely playable. Like, that will work. Their offense, on the other hand, has not been great. I mean, they scored 7, 2, 7, and 4 runs over their last 4 games, so not amazing, but not terrible. Overall this season, it hasn't been an offense we've been very high on. I mean, they're exactly league average in runs scored, but they're 26th in team batting average, and they're going up against a very good pitcher, so that's got to be a little bit tough. Looking at the numbers for this game, guys, I'm a little bit surprised to see one of them. I'm not surprised to see the White Sox at plus 164. Are the Cubs at minus 185? I'm very surprised to see an over-under in this game of 8.5. We're definitely going to be on the under in this one. Both teams are showing slight trends towards the under. Neither one is swinging a hot bat. We see 2 very reasonable starters out there. We do have some questions about both teams' bullpens, especially the White Sox, but I do not think we see that many runs scored in this game. Definitely give me the under in this one. Next up, guys, we got the Detroit Tigers taking on the Texas Rangers. The Tigers come into this game fresh off of another win. They've now won 3 in a row. They won game 1 of this series 2-1. Game 2, they won 3-1. They're up to 31-30 on the season, so all of those things have to feel pretty good. They're handing the ball to Kenta Maeda in this game. He's 2-2 with a 6.25 ERA. He's coming off a pretty bad start there against the Red Sox, where he went 4 2/3, gave up 8 hits, 5 earned runs. His start before that against Toronto was dominant, and we've actually seen the 4 starts before that were all all games that the Tigers won relatively comfortably, and I mean, that one against Cleveland, he gave up 7 earned runs, so that was obviously not his fault that they won, but still, give the dude some credit. He's looked good at times, but also not good. I mean, pretty inconsistent. I'm not gonna lie, very, very inconsistent here, and in general, guys, the Tigers bullpen has been just borderline top 10 in the majors, well above average for sure, so not a lot of bad things to say about the bullpen. Their offense, though, definitely spluttering. I mean, 3 runs, 2 runs, 8 runs. That 8-run game against Boston was definitely nice, but this team is just slightly above average in terms of runs scored, but they're having to manufacture runs, guys. Not a good slugging percentage team, not a good batting average team, only a 234 batting average, getting on base at a 301 clip. That's 25th in the majors, so not a lot of great things to say about this offense, and they're going to have to produce something here going up against the Rangers, who are 29-32 on the year after losing the first 2 games of the series. They're handing the ball in this one to Jose Urena. He is yet to figure in a result this year. He's come out of the bullpen. He's started games. I mean, he's been starting for a while now, though, so, well, I mean, nice for him, but his last time out against the Marlins, he only lasted 2 1/3 innings, gave up 4 hits, 4 runs. Only 2 of them were earned, but still, that's a terrible outing against a terrible hitting team. He also had a very bad start against Minnesota. The start before that, he gave up 9 hits on 5 innings. He only got touched up for 3 earned runs in that one, so it felt like he got a little bit lucky, but obviously, he is not exactly riding a hot streak right now, and in terms of riding hot streaks, guys, we're not exactly looking at the Rangers' bullpen as anything amazing. They're exactly league average as a bullpen, so I guess that's fine, but if your offense is not going to score any runs, that is not going to be fine. This team is not hitting the ball well in this series whatsoever. They are 11th in the majors in runs scored and 10th in the majors in on-base percentage, but this series has not been a fun one for their hitters. So, in general, guys, looking at the numbers of this game, we see the Tigers at plus 115, the Rangers at minus 130, and we see an over-under of 9. So there's a couple of things that jump out to me. We see Texas is the best under team in the majors. They are 36, 22, and 2 to the under. That is a huge under number, so over-under number, so we're going to take the under in this game. And I also think the Tigers plus 115 have a little bit of a shot if we have Maeda have a great day. But in general, guys, there's not enough consistency for either one of these starters for me to be willing to put this in the pinned comment, but I do think leaning towards the under in the Tigers maybe has some value to it. Last but not least, guys, we see the Seattle Mariners going on the road to take on the Oakland A's. We see Seattle is currently leading 4-3 there in the bottom of the 9th. The Mariners come into this game. They've been playing pretty well recently. They're up to 34-27 on the year, maybe going to be 35-27 if they can finish things off here in the 9th inning. So it has to feel pretty decent for them. They're handing the ball in this game to Logan Gilbert, who's 3-3 on the year with a 3.29 ERA, kind of in a bounce back spot after not his best effort there against the Astros. He went 6 innings, gave 8 hits, 4 earned runs, so not exactly what he had in mind. In general, the Seattle bullpen has been pretty good, as you would expect. I mean, it's a top 3 bullpen with a 3.06 ERA. The question for this team always is how many runs can they put up, and they've been putting up some runs lately, not swinging the coldest bats, not the hottest in the majors, but pretty hot for this team. They are 29th in the league with a batting average of 222, so that's not fantastic by any measure, but they find a way to manufacture some runs, and they rely on their great pitching. They're taking on an Oakland Athletics team that also is not a great offensive one or a great pitching one. They're 24-37 on the season, which is probably better than most of us would have guessed they would be. They're hitting the ball to Joey Estes, who's 1-1 on the year with a 6.10 ERA, coming off a good start against the Tampa Bay Rays, where he went 5 innings, gave up 2 hits, only a single earned run. He also has a solid start against Seattle earlier this year, where he went 5 innings, gave up 2 hits, and only a single earned run in that one. That was back on the 11th, so not a bad outing there, and he has to have some confidence here going against this opponent. Overall, the Oakland bullpen has been a little bit below average, I guess, as you would expect. I mean, a 4.28 bullpen ERA isn't a disaster, but it's also not amazing, so not going to freak out about that. Also not going to freak out about this offense. I mean, the A's do not put up a ton of runs. They only scored 3 runs in this game, 1 run the game before that. Like, not a great offensive team. They're 26th in the majors in runs scored and 28th in batting average. So 2 not very good offensive teams going up against each other. And looking at the numbers, guys, we see the Mariners at minus 154, the A's at plus 140, and an over-under in this game of 7.5. In general, guys, I shade towards the Mariners in this game a little bit, but also towards the under 7.5. I think that has good value. Both starters have looked good against their opponents in this game, so not a lot of terrible things to say about either starter. So under 7.5 is a lean for me, and as well as the Mariners minus 154, but I think the value is probably on the under 7.5. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out StumpTheSpread.com, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.